I can hear Hikaru. Let me switch to this scene. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just gonna need to
You can hear me, right? Okay,
fix
good.
the
Yeah,
cameras.
we can hear you.
Sure.
Hikaru, congratulations.
Thank you.
What a crazy, crazy match. First off, your first feelings coming out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it obviously was a very exciting match. A lot of very dynamic games with both colors. So I think everybody enjoyed the match. Certainly, for me, it obviously was stressful. I mean, the last game certainly. But I thought I kept my nerve about me pretty well in terms of defending, and it worked out. So I'm pretty happy with the result.
Well, I like how you just, talk about that last game, like no big deal. But Anna and I were talking before the last game. We thought there was no way you were going to repeat the same line, which had not gone your way in game 2. But I guess your second or team, or I don't know if you can reveal that, were working hard behind the scenes. What led to your decision to repeat the same line?
I mean, as with any opening in this day and age, it's always a balanced game. If you know what to do, you're always fine no matter what. So that's kind of the approach that I'm always going to have. And considering the fact that it was a very forcing line and we got out to like move 17 right away, I saw no reason not to repeat it, considering that I had looked at it in between the games. So yeah, and I mean, obviously, I think what Shakh did repeating in a way was the right thing, even though what he did objectively is completely losing, because he only has one result that really helps him there. So it makes sense to kind of throw the kitchen sink, as they say. And but yeah, like I said, if you've looked at something with a computer, I mean, everything is okay. No matter how scary it looks, everything is always holdable if you know the right move. And so that was kind of how I felt, and I think I found a lot of the right moves. This FG5 that he played, I hadn't actually looked at in between the games. I had looked at quite a few other options, but that being said, I think I found most of the right moves. I could be wrong, but I think I found most of the right moves there.
No, I think, well, we were obviously, it's easier for us with the computer. I think in the last game, yeah, as you said, his move wasn't the best, and that's why you would spend some time, because that's what we were saying, you will have looked at all his best moves, but maybe not his sub-optimal moves, but it looked like you were always in control.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I had looked at 4 other moves, but not F takes G5. So I mean, it was certainly a little bit unpleasant when he did it, because again, like, the thing is, like, I felt like with every move I was fine, but he kept finding ways to keep the attack going. So it was kind of frustrating, because every time that I thought that it was okay, there was always some new move. But I think when I found Queen E3, this was the last really critical moment of the game, and I think once I found that, and Shakh had to spend at least 6 or 7 minutes there trying to calculate, that also let me think on his time, and I figured out that there were no moves there where I didn't have my next move or next 2 moves prepared. So that I think was the last critical moment. And again, I would say also that some people were saying, like, the time usage. The thing that's important to note is that if your opponent's on an all-out attack, your opponent's going to have to use their time at some point, because it's on them to find the win or find the checkmating pattern with the attack. So like, once I find Queen E3, even though Shakh had maybe I think he had maybe 12 more minutes on the clock here, he has to spend a lot of time thinking, and then I can think on that time, and it's pretty easy for me because I don't have many options. Like, if he goes Bishop F2 or Bishop F4 or Bishop H4, I really only have 1 or 2 moves that I even have to consider. So that's why I wasn't that worried when I got super low on the clock.
That was exactly the position I was going to point out, that we were really impressed that you found this Queen E3. You didn't have much time, and I was just going to ask you about your thought process there on how do you come to that conclusion. Can you tell us what other moves you were looking at? What was your thinking like before you found Queen E3?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I also saw this move Bishop D1, Queen F5. Like, it's a very weird line. So Bishop D1, Queen F5, and I haven't looked with the computer yet, so I'm not sure what's going on. But if you play the moves Bishop D1, Queen F5, Queen takes C3. There's Rook takes H6. And then I think after Rook takes H6, maybe I have Bishop C2, which is a draw. But I also thought I might have King G7 here. Like, King G7, and then I think he has Bishop G6, and maybe I can go Bishop B3 there or something. And I mean, maybe it's still a draw. And if he goes Bishop G8, I obviously have Bishop C2 to stop the mate on H7. But like I wasn't sure about this. I really wasn't sure, and I figured if I'm just wrong with my calculation here, I'm gonna get checkmated in this position. So when I saw Queen E3 with the idea of Knight D4 specifically coming next move, that just made it a lot easier. Because I wasn't sure if this was okay or not, but if I'm wrong, I'm just getting checkmated. At least with Queen E3, you know, some kind of worst case scenario, I can maybe give back material with like Knight D4 and Knight takes Queen. But yeah, I mean, again, I know everybody's saying it's all just winning for black, but you have to calculate it, and with limited time, it's always very scary.
It was really scary, and I was just gonna add to that Bishop D1 line that was the only other engine line that was winning for black. So there are other attempts like King G7 to try to survive, but Queen E3 and Bishop D1 are literally the only lines that keep the advantage of black, and everything that you have mentioned with the Bishop D1 line is correct.
Yeah, but I mean, I think again, this also signifies the difference between classical chess and rapid chess. Because if this was rapid chess, or not rapid chess, sorry, if this was classical chess, I could literally go get a tea and think for 20 minutes, and probably I could calculate Bishop D1 to the very end. But with like 7 or 8 minutes on the clock, I don't have that luxury where I can just think forever. And so like in a rapid game, a position like this is very scary. Whereas in a classical game, I think if you give this to a top player with 30 minutes on the clock, they probably win this like 99% of the time. But again, it's one of those situations where with limited time, a lot of these positions can be a lot more scary than they would be if we're playing in classical chess.
Hikaru, I have one question to you. It was a super exciting, very sharp match, 4 decisive results, no draws. How did the match compare to what you were expecting going into it?
Pretty much like I expected. I thought Shakh would play something maybe a little bit more positional than an all-out attacking line against me. But that being said, I think I think it kind of went the way I expected. Sharp games, not a lot of interesting positions, not really very drawish, and I came out on top. But it's still only day one.
Yeah, so I guess you're expecting more of the same for tomorrow, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think okay, it's the same as the previous match against Lukwang. I won on the first day there as well, so it's definitely a good start. I mean, at the worst case, I know that I'm going to be playing Blitz, so that is certainly a good. But by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but why was apparently Bishop F4 was drawing or something? People are saying, and I don't know why. Is there some reason after Queen E1 King Issue Knight D4 that it's not just winning for black?
Wait, sorry,
I'm just curious why everyone's saying that.
Yeah, sorry, which position you mean? I didn't see the line that the chat was mentioning.
After Rook F6, Queen E3, Bishop F4, Queen E1 check, King Issue Knight D4, Queen B2. I mean, is this some kind of draw? I thought that I could play
sorry, no, it cut off, so I didn't hear you. After Bishop D1.
Not Bishop D1, Queen E3.
Okay, yeah, the Queen E3 line should be winning. What draw are they saying?
People are saying Queen E3, Bishop F4.
Bishop F4 was a better attempt, I think, but it should still
Well, they're saying it was a draw, and I'm just curious why. After Queen E1, King H2, Knight D4, what was White's move?
It doesn't really show any... Oh, now it jumps back to 0 after... It was showing like -4 for you, and now it's saying 0 with Bishop to E4. So if Knight takes C2, Bishop to E5? What? A queen down, but it's threatening.
King G. Wait. King G. Oh my gosh. King G8, Bishop H7, King G7, Rook G6.
Yes.
Wait, no.
This is
Bishop H7, King H8, Bishop E4. Yeah. No. You have to go King H8, Bishop E. Okay. I mean, okay. Well,
okay. This is crazy.
That's why we're not 3,700. Let's leave it at that.
Wow. That's a crazy engine line.
Okay, that's just yeah. I mean, okay.
Yeah, and anyway, for the match situation, even if Shakh finds this miraculous draw, it's still the same result for today.
Yeah, no, I mean that's insane. But anyway, so there was some question that I interrupted you guys on. I forgot what it was.
I think I had just been asking, do you expect more of the same tomorrow, or you think maybe we'll get... I'm hoping for more of the same tomorrow, and well, Shakh will have to take some risks, but what about yourself? What will be your approach going into the match?
Probably more of the same on my end. I mean, I actually expect it to be pretty similar today. I do kind of expect Shakh to go crazy and try to play very aggressive, very attacking chess. So that's kind of what I expect him to do. Again, we'll see what happens. But the fact that I won the first match today certainly gives me a leg up, and so it's where you want to be.
Did you have a chance to see anything from the other match? You didn't have much time in between. I just wonder if you have seen any of the games.
Yeah, no, I didn't have a chance to see the other games between Levon and Magnus at all, but I know Lev won the final game to make it 2-2. And actually, sorry you guys, sorry to interrupt one more time, but because people asked this in chat, I did realize during my very first game that I had this exact same end game against Mamedyarov in the Tromsø Olympiad in 2014. With the colors reversed, where he had white, I had black, and either rook bishop and 2 versus the rook and 3. Someone asked that, and I'd forgotten that, but that was But yes, during the game, I did remember that, and I thought it was pretty amusing. The funny thing is, during that game, there was one moment when I think I had a draw where he misplayed it with the rook and the bishop. I had I think I had the g5 h5 where it was a draw. But in this one, I don't think there was ever a draw as far as I could tell. But yeah, in 2014 Olympiad, we had this same end game, but colors reversed.
Thank you so much to the viewers for recalling it, because I remember Fiona and I spotting that comment, and we wanted to ask you, but then 4 more, the other 3 games happened, and I completely forgot to go back to that game one and the end game. That's interesting that it's the exact same, but with colors
exact
reversed.
Same, light color bishop against the FGH pawns, and I was black. I'm not sure if it was the exact same position because the rooks might have been on different squares, but it was still like g3 h3, and then he eventually got his bishop on that. I don't know, it was c4 or d5, but on that diagonal as well.
Were you always confident the ending was winning, or did you feel at some point he might be getting some kind of fortress?
I mean, I always was happy about it, but I think I could have avoided this endgame with the rook and bishop and 2 versus the rook and 3. Like I said, I mean, I did remember that game, and at least during this one, I was able to recall that I know when I looked at that game afterwards, it was winning for the rook bishop and 2. So I was always confident that it's winning with correct play. Again, trying to play perfectly and get to that point, is a whole different matter. But I knew that it was winning because I had studied it after that terrible loss in the Olympiad.
And speaking of this last game, the line that you repeated, when it happened in the first game, that is game 2, it happened for the first time. What was your thinking? Was f4 a novelty by Mamedyarov? Was it a move that you had looked at previously?
I looked at it a long time ago. I think there was a game between Topalov and Ding Liren in this, if I'm not mistaken. But I just couldn't remember, frankly. And I, again, in a rapid game where you're unprepared, if you get low on time and it's very hard to find simple moves, it can be really, really difficult. And actually, I would argue this was the difference between the second and fourth game, is that in the fourth game, I was in a situation where I had very limited options. In the second game, even if you start after f4 without knowing it, there's so many possibilities. I can take on f4, I can play bishop g4, I can maybe play knight d5. There at least are 4 different moves, so it was never really stable where there was like one option. And I think that was also a big difference between the second game and the fourth game. But at any rate, I found my way. I was able to keep myself calm after that second game, and then the other 2 games went my way as well. So it's pretty good.
Maybe for me, one final question: how much time do you typically? It's now what time is it? 1 p.m. for you?
2 p.m. 2 p.m.
2 p.m. 2 p.m. for you. So still more or less the whole day ahead of you before the rematch tomorrow, or the second leg, should I say, not the rematch. How do you typically spend the rest of the day? How much chess prep is there, or how much relaxing? How do you?
Well, I think the good thing is that as you get deeper into the tournament, you've already been studying quite a bit. Like I already had this match against Lequang where I was studying quite a bit. On both of those days, so it actually becomes easier because you've done much more preparation. So you don't have to look at as much per se as you get further on the event. But I would say normally what I do is probably as soon as the match is over, probably take like 2.5 hours, just relax, maybe watch some Netflix and just chill, and go from there, and then probably look at some stuff for like 2 hours later. So something like that. But again, it's just nice to get a win and then just kind of relax a little bit and then get right back to studying.
That makes perfect sense. So we wish you another good relaxation time and then preparation. I think my final question was partially you responded because you were saying that you just needed to revise for the final game this line. You didn't need extra help from your team, because we were wondering if Chris Littlejohn or anyone else helping you did extra analysis to make sure that it's bulletproof, this line that you're playing in the Nimzo.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, he is the main person I work with, and he is following the events. Obviously, with no over-the-board chess, I mean, this is kind of, you know, I think everyone who's a trainer or second, this is their job, is to follow the games in real time. And, you know, I like I alluded to before, I think that in a match it's much different because all the games are going long. So like when you're in the qualifying, it's very easy to have a long game, like close to an hour, and then have a quick game, which is like 15, 20 minutes. Then you have like 45 minutes, 50 minutes before the next game. But when you're playing long games in the match format, you don't really have time in between the games in most cases to where you can really look at anything. So it is essentially you have someone who's helping you out.
Well, in that case, shout out to your team as well. And of course, congratulations to you, Hikaru, on a really good start in the semifinals. You said that in the previous match, in the quarterfinals, it's good to have a cushion to start with. And now you have that cushion again, starting tomorrow's second and final day of the semifinals with the advantage. So we wish you a very good luck. And I believe Fiona will be hosting the after party. Fiona, if you want to start, you're starting soon, and we're going to be going over.
Absolutely, I am ready. So we'll be playing some Blitz for anyone who wants to come over. But yeah, Hikaru, congratulations and best of luck for tomorrow.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.
Good luck,
job.
Hikaru.
Cheers, you too.
And see you, Fiona, at the after party.
Bye.
Bye.